find that out right there.
Travis,
my very good friend. That would not. I would have got cheese to shit. That's where I'm coming from. Agree.
Travis.
See, I told you he was getting excited. He was getting excited.
I blended the two of you.
Yeah, you were going Taven and Travis.
Traven.
Yes, people say it all the time. Let's go, Dad.
Okay.
This is going to be his best podcast ever.
Okay. Welcome to Motivational Mondays, conversations with me, David Ibarra, and my dear friend, Travis Ching.
Thank you, David Ibarra.
Now, welcome to our program.
Glad to be here.
I want to talk about your children's books right off.
Okay.
Travis is an author. Tell us about your book. The name of your book is?
The Thirst of a Loving Trunk.
Tell me about writing that book and what it's about.
Well, it's about a little elephant family, and if everyone knows about elephants, it's the matriarch's always a woman, and then the grandma, and then they're leading Athena, the little baby elephant, to be the next leader. And during their journey, they run into a fire, like how some of us run into fires of life. And
Obstacles.
They run into obstacles. And there's a little bird family in this, and the mom says, we don't help anyone but our kind. And Athena was trying to get everyone to stop to help these birds. And she
breaks rank.
Oh, she does break rank.
And tradition.
Mm-hmm.
And she shows compassion to all living things. And I believe that was the lesson.
Yes, she taps in, and this little voice, you actually inspired that last part, the little voice, you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And the little voice said, I'll help. And she opened her eyes, and she looks around. She says, well, what do we do? And this loving conversation went inside her mind and out her lips. She said, Mom, what if those little baby birds were me? What would you want some loving strangers to do? And it stopped everyone in the herd but the one that she was hoping that would turn. And then when the mother turned around, Athena had already turned the herd. I don't want to spoil the surprise.
Well,
it goes on a journey of trying to find
How do people get the book?
You can go on Amazon. That's where you get the soft copy. Or you can go on tsginspiredreads.com. And you could order the book from there.
Great. Now, the purpose in writing this book was to begin to help children seed their subconscious minds with the purpose of life and the principles of life, to begin to have a young person believe in themselves from their earliest thought. Would that be true?
That is true.
Okay. How long did it take you to write the book, Travis?
I got the calling from a little voice that came into my mind, and it said, children's books, the biggest change will be on the children on 11/20/2018. And from there, the downloads happened, like Richard Paul Evans brought up in his stuff. I had that same stuff happen to me, and I thought it was pretty crazy when I looked down in my journal and my terrible handwriting with no punctuation and all capital letters. And it was a pretty crazy experience. But that was probably the 7th book that I had written.
And it took you how long to write this one?
400 hours was put into that.
So you have 7 books, or now how many books?
We have 3 on market, several created. Illustrations still need to be done, things like that.
And everybody will have already seen by now the book on screen. So there's something else when you say we. Who's the other we? I believe it has to do with the pictures, the art, the drawings in the book. Tell us a little bit about that.
Shay Allred. Yeah. Shay Allred did all the pictures in the book, all hand-drawn, and 600 hours, 500 to 600 hours of his life is in that book.
Now, AI could do that book in about 2 minutes, right?
Well, back then there was no AI.
But AI could do that book in about 10 minutes now. But why would it not be the same? Artificial intelligence is artificial.
Yes.
Your book came inspired from true intelligence. And I like to bring that up because unless you had the idea to write it, you can certainly use artificial intelligence to edit punctuation, spelling, and maybe even a sentence. But those listeners that believe they can skip the work and come out with a product like yours is really missing out.
Well,
Infinite intelligence is not artificial intelligence.
And we're all sent to Earth with specific gifts.
Right.
Yeah, I personally could never draw. If I drew an elephant, it would be just a couple circles and some
It would be
big
a
ears.
stick elephant.
Yes, you too.
Well, Travis, I've been coaching you for a while.
Long time.
How many years do we get together and chat? And you know, coach mentor is probably mentor, yes, but it's more of conversation. It's more of sharing beliefs. It's more of encouraging to dare to go out and do what we love. Early in your career, I was working at one of the automobile dealerships. It was Wes Johnson's store in Menlove in
Menlove
Toyota.
Dodge Toyota. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Murdoch's and others, and got to know you a little bit. And you have a real talent. You have energy that cannot be matched. Sometimes when we talk about controlled enthusiasm, in your case, it's kind of bring it down a little bit. Most of the time, it's bring it up.
Yes.
But you've really got that dialed in. And during that conversation, we started talking about what ultimately did you want to do? Did you want to own an automobile dealership? Did you want to be a general manager? Do you remember those conversations?
Yeah.
And the advice that I may have given you at that time?
I think what you're alluding to is some people are destined to be general managers and general sales managers and owners. I'm from a generation of teachers. Mm-hmm. So my dad was a 7th grade life science teacher at Benyon Junior High, and he's well known in the community. And I just turned my teaching, took his principles, put them inside myself, and therefore I like to teach and like to grow that talent and see
what
someone else.
Position within the leadership of a automobile dealership, and I would say almost any entity of business serving a guest, is the role that does most the teaching. What role name would that be?
Team manager.
A team manager, a team leader. And I think, remember in the conversation I shared with you, we were talking about wealth. We were talking about, you know, and one of the things that I do in my books, as you know, my start was Think and Grow Rich, Live Ready Beyond Think and Grow Rich. But many times people get confused between what is wealth and what is it to be rich. And we had this conversation about that, and you were sharing me with what you loved, and then we talked about why is it that society tells you to take the next rung in the ladder and the next one and the next one and the next one if they don't make you happy?
Yes.
And so you decided that you were going to pick a position that made you happy.
And
Tell
thrive.
us about that role and how as over the years, now you've become like 10 years, just an absolute specialist in the development of individuals that come to represent, in this case, the Southtown of Volkswagen.
That is correct.
And how tell us about that role. Tell us about the highlights. Tell us about what you see on a daily basis. What really kind of just makes you light up or get fired up?
Well, fired up, that's like a small word. It's pure bliss when you can change someone's life. So when someone comes to you and they can't rub 2 pennies together, and a year later, 2 years later, they're a 6-figure individual, and you can chalk them up on your, as far as changing someone's life, changing their children's life, changing their family's trajectory, and exceeding expectations. That's it's something special. when someone can come back, like I've come back to you multiple times, paid homage back to the person that invested so much of their time. And it wasn't about the money. It was about, that's that gift that you get to leave behind that you left inside somebody else.
Certainly. So you've been doing this for about 10 years. How many people, sales client advisors, men and women, have gotten the mentoring and coaching from you, Travis?
Well, if you were to ask around the valley, it's hundreds.
Mm-hmm.
It's hundreds.
If not more.
If not more.
Right.
I'm trying to tone down my enthusiasm right now because I could go off, David.
And then I would, well, never mind. We'll keep that for another day.
Yes, sir.
So tell me about two. Just give me two of your greatest stories that just absolutely touched your heart of being involved in the development of others. Pick your best two and share it with me and our audience.
The first face that comes into mind is Mike Stidham.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike Stidham's one of my second generation folks. His mom's no longer on the earth. My mom's no longer on the earth. But Michael had went out to his place of business, and outside his door, it said, if you don't leave today, this place will steal your soul. And his mom worked for me at Tim Daly Nissan, Tonda Stidham. Mm-hmm. And I met Mike when he was 17 years old. He was really kind of mad at the world. Mm-hmm. Stuff wasn't lining up. And then he would come by and get his Volkswagen serviced. And then one time he said, Uncle, because he called me his uncle, do you really think I can do this? And I said, I'm 100% positive if I can just put what's inside my mind and you take care of customers exactly how Unc tells you to do it, you're going to be just fine and you're going to be very, very successful. And he took off. Huge success story.
So he gained pride in wisdom in himself, but he also gained the currency to give him the comfort.
And not just that, he knows about the gift of community, which is one of the competencies.
Great. So where is he now?
He's down at a Toyota dealership. Because some lives, they don't stay with you forever.
Sure.
But you push him on to that next step, and he has bright things ahead of him.
What position is he holding now?
He's doing a client advisor position.
Good.
Because he likes to work out in the morning and work out in the evening and likes to get his job done and go home, which is fine.
Great. Now, that is a great pivot point to the definition of many people think in the work that I do is that it's about making somebody wealthy. And I'll always tell everybody, money won't make you happy, but make no mistake about it, not having enough will prove to be very inconvenient.
Yes.
And oftentimes leads to unhappiness in all of the other roles in your life. But we had talked about your career, and you had made the decision, nope, I don't want to be a general manager. I don't want to be a desk manager. I don't want to be a dealer. I want to work with the individuals that serve the guests that beckon our doors. And so you've made that dedication, like your father, to be a teacher.
There's a big difference
teacher.
Between a teacher and someone just says they know how to teach.
Well, that there is no doubt about that. And what you're alluding to is that a lot of times people will come to me and they're not doing as well as they could. And I tell them, look, if you know how to sell a car, if you know how to appraise a car, if you know how to structure a deal, if you know how to all of those skills, you'll do well in this business. But you won't do great unless you're able to transfer that skill, that knowledge to someone else that can do it as good as you or better, and you not feel hesitant to give what you know. And you've been able to do that. But in our conversations, it led us to you evaluating, well, hey, what is rich? What is fulfillment with family, with faith, with community, and with how you feel, your health, your inner harmony. I'd like you to take a minute with us, or more than a minute for sure, and tell us when you made the decision that you weren't going to just chase currency, that you were going to go to the second level of competence of being compensated, and that is relationships and experiences. What changes did you make in the first role of your life, family? And what do you think you benefited from it, deciding that you were going to do well at this, but be present here?
So looking back, in your 20s, you're just trying to duck and weave and make as much money because you have all your buddies making lots of money. So you're just chasing exactly what everyone else and just following the pack. So I was spending 60, 70 hours a week at a car dealership, making plenty of money. But my boy didn't see me in the stands at his soccer games or see me in the stands of baseball games or, some dance lessons for baby girl. It just, and then just trying to be the provider, just trying to hold it all together. It was really taxing. And then when you have days off, you want your time to be your time. You don't want to share that time. And then in your 30s, you're still ducking and weaving and trying to stay out of the way of major downfalls. And then by your 40s, it's just like that song, Cat in the Cradle song.
Oh, yeah.
Thing makes me cry all the time because we chase this money for so long, and by the time we have enough money, my house is paid off, all my cars are paid off. I don't really have any real worries at this point. That was when I made the shift, but then the shift happened when the kids were grown up. Now I got blessed to have my son Taven work with me for 3 years, and he got to see what Dad had given up to give him the lifestyle. But again, he wanted Dad in the stands.
But it would be safe to say that deciding not to chase the next rung in the ladder, did it give you more time to be present with your wife, with your daughter, with your son? Did it give you more time? And what did you feel when you received that gift?
Imagine if you could have learned the Live Ready lessons as a child. Now imagine your children learning these principles through engaging stories, sing-along songs, themed games, and more, all designed over many years with real educators. With Yes Our Kids Can, this dream becomes a reality. Don't miss this chance to shape your child's path to extraordinary success. Enroll in Yes Our Kids Can today and be sure to give your child a successful tomorrow.
The gift of time is amazing. So I do get to go home and have dinners with the missus. The kids are in the house sometimes, and then they're out of the house going to college or chasing their own dreams.
How long have you been married?
Geez, Taven's 22, so 23 years.
And your wife's name, I'm sorry?
Griselda.
It sounds like she still likes you.
Oh, she still likes me. Thank goodness.
So, family fulfilled. There was a major shift in the second role, faith. Tell me about that.
So at 40, I got really, really sick. And my friend Josh Osborne, who's the general manager of Southtown Volkswagen, really dear friend of mine, he said, "You got to go to the hospital. I'm really worried about you." So I drove home, and I was in my driveway, and I didn't know how that whole blessing thing worked, but I remember my dad coming home from going to church when I was little, and he would say he'd saw some miracles. So I said, I came to God with all my heart and told him, I don't know how this all works, but let's just make this a super easy fix. And I'm ready to give up all my bad habits and poor choices and move on.
So it's interesting, whether it's faith or whether it's just doing right, you have to have time to do both.
Yes.
So when you're at that juncture in the road, the one question that I think that people have to ask before they can receive is, what am I willing to give up to get? Because you're going to give up something, whether it's playing poker, whether it's going out with the guys, whether it's a sporting event. You got to give up something, sometime, to replace that time with the
something
things
else.
you do. And I believe you did that. Tell us about that.
So 2 months after I'd given everything up, the calling came through to write children's books.
Let me ask you, you say give everything up. Can you just name a couple of things that you gave up to gain the time to do?
Yeah. So the drinking.
Okay, cool.
And not coming home on time. And doing childish things.
Okay,
Those
cool.
are all things that I had to leave that guy behind. He
So it wasn't
doing
playing
any good.
video games?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Oh, no. No video games.
All righty. So, but you gained the time to be present. Go ahead. Tell us what that, you were talking about. You heard the children's books.
So then I started getting woken up at 3 o'clock in the morning. And then that took me away from those night activities of the wind down that I told my brain,
Right.
I got to have the wind down. I got to do this all again tomorrow for 12 more hours. So you got to wind it down really quick, go to sleep, and then jump back on it the next day. But that was 5 days a week of the wind down.
And now it got replaced with 3 a.m.?
3 a.m.
Every morning?
every morning,
So that
7 days a week. Drives my family nuts,
So
David.
3 till what time?
8 o'clock.
When you get ready to go to work. And so what are you doing during that 3 to 7? Who are you communicating with?
The infinite.
Cool.
Yeah,
And that's
so-
where you get your inspiration to write and some other things that we're going to talk about in a moment.
That is correct.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you. Now, moving into community, what do you think that, have you done any changes in getting what you wanted to be known for there?
So I go and visit schools. I go and visit retirement centers. The retirement centers are really neat because they have the dementia
Yes.
ward, and I know that your mother's
Yes.
in one of those. And every time I go and read that book, crazy things happen. They tell me not to give them books, and I always give them books and say, pay attention. The lights are going to come on. The man's going to turn the lights on. And we've witnessed some really neat activities happen in that. And it opens their mind to take care of that community a little better because that person's still in there.
Right.
Who's to say they aren't communicating?
Yeah.
They're not, that the lights aren't still on in there. They can't communicate verbally, but interior wise, I think that person is just kind of in the in-between,
Yes.
and they know when they're getting mistreated and when they're not.
Yeah.
So a lot of times you can see in the worker's eyes, hey, we better step up our game.
They still cry and they still smile.
That is correct.
So they still feel.
Yep.
So to give the listeners a little bit of clarity, I saw a social media post where you had children circled around you and you were reading to them. At these care centers, that you're reading your children's books to them.
Yes.
Tell us about any memorable experience in doing that, please.
Well, the man, he shows up quite a bit. This last one was at my wife's facility there at the Legacy Center up in Farmington. At the end of it, everyone gets their book signed, and the last gal, her name was Jan. She's no longer on the earth. This was 2 months before she passed. But she comes up, she says, this is the best birthday present I've ever got. I said, oh, it's your birthday today? And she goes, no, but it's my birthday month. And I looked at my wife, and I said, she's going to have the same birthday as me. And there was probably 70 individuals in there. I said, when was your birthday? And she goes, oh, 4/24/1930. And her family had, her dad had chosen to do a mission over in Africa, and they had fled out of Africa, went over to Argentina, and on that boat trip over to Argentina, there were slaves down in the bottom of that ship. I got to hear some wonderful, crazy stories. And then one of her uncles was a lawyer for the Native American culture, and David, my wife's full Native American, so I had a little bit of a lesson on that, and took her flowers that following week for our birthday, and held her hand to take her to lunch. And when I was inside her room, looked off to the left, and the man himself staring at me in the picture, and I said, man, this is a good day, isn't it? And we were helping her into her wheelchair, and my wife says, no, you can't touch her, you can't touch her. And she goes, I have really bad balance. So my wife helps her up, and my dad, he's 83. he had made these rocks and he'd painted these rocks, and some of them said balance and belief and all these different little quotes on the rock. And he says, I want to give you a present. I want to give you a present. And he opened it up and she reached her hand in there, and I could show you a picture, and it says balance. And she stood there, didn't need any help.
Wow.
She had a moment. And the children, ones when I go to the schools, those are really neat because it's all about what you could do to help somebody else. So Athena in the book, who's the baby elephant, she's helping out the baby birds. And how we go far in this world is when we put someone before ourselves.
Right.
When we put someone before ourselves, we'll go all the way. When we're doing it for ourselves, we have a chance to quit. But when we have someone else depending on us to get there, we usually can find the energy to get there. So I didn't learn how to read until the 5th grade. Thank you, Angela Osnes, my little living angel, 5th grade.
And I want to thank right here my 5th grade teacher, Sam Francis. I was in the same position. I just didn't read well, and I didn't know the sounds of letters.
And so thank you for sharing that. That's crazy. We've always had that connection. We learned that about each other on day one, I think that was. But I'll say, so which student, I'll ask them first, how did I read? They're always, Miss Ching, you were great. How was my enthusiasm? They go crazy. And then I said, what if I told you that I was unable to read my own book at your age? And they get bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and they're like, no. And I said, what little individual, if they had the courage right now, what individual in here is having still a struggle in 5th grade reading?
Yeah.
And the little hand goes up, shaking, and tear rolls out my eye, tear rolls out the teacher's eye, the librarian's eye, or whoever's in there witnessing this. I said, just like Athena did for those little birds, what individuals would come in during recess to catch up this beautiful individual that just had the courage to raise their hand, and all the little hands go up, David.
Yeah. Wow.
I'll do it.
That is cool.
And then I talk about good leaders, and I talk about the bad leaders here at the school, and it's the bullies. And I have to point out to them first, how many of you individuals in the room would love for this individual to be the nicest kid in the class? And all the hands go up. Who would actually want to be his friend? And all the hands stay up, David. And if he stays the way that he is, how many of you choose to stay away from him? How many of you choose to not be his friend? And all the hands go down. And then I stare into his eyes, or her eyes, because there are bully girls out there. And I said, not only is it it's a very quiet life for the bully, because he just has himself and how he wants to lead himself.
Sure.
But the cool thing about bullies is there's always a bigger bully, and they attract bullies because everyone doesn't want to share the title. So I always have to remind them, you're the bully of the 5th grade. These kids have older brothers that are bullies in the 9th grade, and you're going to be the 7th grader. And don't think, if I can't remember my 5th grade teacher and how my friends are still my friends, and I still remember all their numbers from childhood, how is this individual's ever?
Right.
So
That's
all of a sudden I can switch that mindset.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Now let's move into sound health. What occurred? And you had said before you asked for guidance, you had said that you were sick. And Josh was worried about you.
Yes.
What changed now in your sound health? And do you think that any of this is connected?
It's always connected, David. Mine, for instance, and this is just, I'm going to say, I got shown on one page of the Bible. It's Deuteronomy 7:11. And when you flip a Bible open, anyone that's listening right now knows that you flip your Bible open, and sometimes it's like a tractor beam. I flipped it open and went to Deuteronomy 7:11, and it was my whole life on one page, and it reads like this: I let you live your life however you wanted for your first 40 years. Your feet did not hurt, and your clothes did not wear for your first 40 years. And as the Father disciplined his Son, I disciplined you. I want to make sure it'd go well with you. I wanted to make sure you were of your word. I'm going to bring you into a good land, because he had tested me for a year before he showed me my page on the Bible. I'm going to bring you into a good land of brooks and streams and fig trees and copper out of the mountain and iron out of the hills kind of stuff. And it was the exact amount of rough draft books that we had written up to that point. Now it says up to the top of the page, I'm going to take you out of Egypt. I'm going to take you out of the land of slavery. Mm-hmm. I don't really have my name badge, the only one at Southtown Volkswagen. It just says Captain Amazing on it. Because I had to go to my friends and say, I'm getting woken up 2, 3, 1 o'clock in the morning. This voice is waking me up, and we're writing children's books. I have my beliefs. You have your beliefs.
Sure.
So we either make this position up or I have to move on. Mm-hmm. So he took me out of Egypt. He took me out of the land of slavery. I'm going to take you away from your venomous snakes and scorpions, the wind downs, the poor choice habits. Don't think about those, because by 7 o'clock, you're going to find me in my bed. 8 o'clock, I'm in my bed, full of just peace and sound health. And then he said, I'm going to show you a thirst and waterless land. In this book, The Thirst of a Loving Trunk, when you open up the first page, this elephant group is walking through and the ground's cracking apart. Cracks and crevices all going through it. No water. It said, I'm going to show you water out of the hard rock. God's pretty amazing individual. I didn't get this one in the beginning, but I'm the hard rock, David. There ain't supposed to be beautiful children's literature flowing out of a guy that has written more books than he's read. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, you.
So that was pretty amazing. This was 26 days before my mother's death. He had healed her up from cancer for a full year to witness said calling before taking her back home. And that's a whole nother podcast. I could talk about that.
Sure.
But she got to see that. So when she went to heaven, she breathed out one time in pure peace.
Wow.
Knowing she could go on to the next.
So, and what you've been able to achieve at Southtown in helping people achieve in their serving of a guest to become a customer, and then a raving fan and a client by sending customers to you. I was in the store the other day visiting, and I think there was 3 individuals that came walking in the door. First person they walked up to you and said your name.
Oh, yeah, they seeked me out.
You smiled, and you couldn't help yourself. See, I told you.
Oh, yeah, I did say that.
Which is good. So you got to the point of understanding wealth was about enough money to cover being present in the other 4 more major roles of your life without the cloud of worry that I wouldn't have any. And by helping others see that, you can introduce them to the entrance of each one of these roles. They have to walk through the door, but they have the ability. It's not money and fear holding them back. And that happens to be, as you know, my mission in life is to change the lives of employed adults that sometimes go to work at places they don't enjoy, committing spiritual suicide, suffocating in unhappiness that crosses over to not be the parent, to be the neighbor, to be the partner they ought to be, could be. And when they make that transformation, a whole new purpose occurs.
Oh, yeah.
And they now can live and win the game of life. We're not here longer than a day. We come from somewhere, we go somewhere. So in infinite time, how long? It can't be longer than a day. And you can do anything for a day if you set your mind to it. Now, if I'm not mistaken, at Men Love Toyota, did you have some interaction with a young man that appeared over there?
Oh, yeah.
Wanting to learn the business, happened to be
Nick Ibarra.
That's
your
right.
son.
That's right. And so you kind of took him under your wing.
Oh, yeah.
I can tell you, you almost get emotional.
Yes, you do.
When there is no greater gift that a father can receive than someone helping their children.
Yes.
And I tell you what, I've had a great pleasure of returning the same service to you in Taven.
Yes.
And you've got a great young man there, and he's destined for greatness.
Well, thank you, David. You're going to make me emotional if you're not careful.
I was having a bad day, not a bad day, but a sad day. I'd gone to visit my mother on Sunday, and it was Mother's Day, I believe, and she has a dementia, and of course she doesn't know who I am, and I didn't have a strong relationship. My mother never raised me, but I feel a responsibility to care for her because I can.
Yes.
And the learning the gift of forgiveness is the greatest gift that an individual can learn. And so I wanted to, but watching her, looking at her in her prison of her own mind was difficult. And I came across this, you would hit me up with a, hey, have you heard this? Have you heard this? And would you, Nick, cue up this song? I want to you sent me a gift, and
Yes.
I got to tell you something. You sent it to me in English, a song, and you sent it to me in Spanish. Well, I heard the Spanish one first, so I handed it to my fiance, Norma Vega, and she's listening to it, and I don't speak Spanish. All of a sudden, she's crying. I'm going, what in the world? And she says, where did this come from?
Yeah.
And then I played the English song, and I tell you what, that is some of the best times a mentor can have is listening to that song. Would you please play it now?
He got one book. He became the message. From the back of a kitchen to the front of a movement. This is David Ibarra's legacy. Dishwasher steam, sweat in his eyes. No excuses, just dreams on the rise. One book got placed in his hands. Thinking grow rich, lit up his soul, flipped that switch. Desire was born, belief got fed. He saw a new life where others saw dead. Faith in his gut, purpose in stride. He didn't just chase, he multiplied.
One book, one man, one mission. From the kitchen to a kingdom, no permission. Faith, strong vision, steady. Say it loud for the world, live ready. One book, one man, one mission. Lifted thousands with quiet precision. From the grind to the goal, no shame. David Ibarra, remember the name.
He built the life that the book described, then wrote his own. Let that truth collide. Live ready, more than a phrase. It's a battle cry for better days. Health in his habits, wealth in his ways. Community fed by the light he gave. Family his anchor, faith his flame. He showed how one soul could shift the game. He turned his knowledge into power, pain into plans, in a single book into a worldwide stand. Now he's the mentor, the messenger, the man, and the call is simple. Live ready.
One book, one man, one mission. Broke chains with a dream and a vision. Faith, strong heart, steady. World on fire with a soul that's ready. One book, one man, one mission. Gave hope, gave truth, gave wisdom. From the grind to the goal, no fear. David Ibarra, we're standing right here.
For me and my son, thank you, David, for showing us how to lead with purpose, to think bigger, to live ready, and to never forget where we came from. Your legacy is in us now and forever.
Now, wow, that says a lot, and I want to thank you so much for sharing that with us. And you are a great mentor, and I wanted to interview you today because I think you have one of the greatest, highest jobs on this earth.
Wow.
And that's developing others. Thank you very much. And I want to give you a small gift for being on our program today. My book, Live Ready, Beyond, Think and Grow Rich.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.